Hey everyone, my name is Mariel. Welcome to my channel. If it's the first time you're visiting, welcome. I am a knitter and a maker based out of Northern California, and 2024 was my first full year of being a knitter with a capital K. I started knitting in October of 2023, a little more seriously. I've always kind of had I don't even know how to put it. I just have always been into like arts and crafts. So I dabble in a lot of little things, but knitting really kind of took over my life. I did a deep dive into knitting starting at the end of 2023. So I was really keen on looking back on 2024 once it was through, and just I wanted to be able to kind of like see what I got through and what I got done. So I have some fun numbers to kind of run through with y'all first before I show you some of my knits that I have on hand. And then I have a bit of like a superlative category or categories at the end to kind of wrap things up. But yeah, thanks for joining me here. Just excited to be here and excited for the community that I've been able to join through knitting and posting knitting podcasts. So yeah, I'll just get into it. I'll stop blabbing. Editing Mariel here. Important context to give y'all is that I am a very all or nothing person. So when I say knitting took over my life, I mean it. I'm being very honest. I'm not exaggerating. Every waking free downtime moment I had in 2024 was dedicated to knitting. So just keep that in mind as you watch this video. Okay, bye. These numbers were really fun to dive into, first of all. Some of them are a little surprising to me personally, so yeah, let's just get into it. The total number of finished knits that I had for 2024, and these are garments that were finished in 2024. Some of them were started at the tail end of 2023, but in terms of total finished knits in 2024, I have 39 items, which is wild. And I'll kind of break it down into the different like types of knits. In terms of garments, I had 13 total garments that I made. But yeah, I did 4 pullover sweaters, 3 like blouse tee, like smaller or like short sleeve sweaters, 2 cardigans, and 4 vests. All of that should add up to 13. So hopefully my math is right. But yeah, did a lot of garment knitting. I feel like for some knitters, they go through the phases of like needing to kind of do all the selfish knits first, like re-knit my wardrobe and the pieces that I know I want. This is how I'm approaching it anyway, or how I think it's gonna go. Like, there's definitely like so much that I want to knit for myself, so that's kind of taking priority, obviously. And then as the years go on, maybe I'll take a back seat in terms of knitting so many like sweaters for myself, only because I only need so many sweaters once I kind of have my like tried and true like staple sweaters made. So yeah, 13 garments, pretty good. Accessories wise, smaller items, which includes like socks, smaller scarf, bandana items, and like hats and beanies and stuff. I made 24 accessory projects. So I made 16 pairs of socks, which was quite surprising. Like, I knew I had a pretty sock heavy year, but 16 pairs, like 32 socks, pretty good. And they were all for like adult feet. Granted, I have pretty small feet, but yeah, like no baby socks or anything. Those are all human adult socks. So 16 pairs. Yeah, I'll show you some of the pairs that I have on hand right now, but that I've kept for myself. But yeah, I've just loved making socks. They're the perfect like on the go project once you get the hang of it and know what tools you like to use. So yay. I made 2 bandanas, like 2 bandana scarves, 4 hats / bonnets, a bonnet, one pair of gloves, and then one headband. So 24 accessories overall, which is cool. And then to round out the whole like 39 number, I had two what I'm calling like miscellaneous items. And I made 2 mini sweaters, meaning like I made like the tiny like Christmas ornament sized sweaters. So I'm just counting that in like the miscellaneous items because it's not really a garment that you would wear. So yeah. So those are like kind of make up that whole 39 number. Now kind of going into like the breakdown, I saw a few people kind of break down how many of their knits they kept versus like were gift knits or things they gave away, which I thought was interesting to look at too. So out of my 39, 20 of the knits, finished knits, were gift knits, which makes the total amount of like gift knits, like the percentage of my total knits, basically half. So 51.3% was gift knits, which I found actually kind of surprising. But now that I like look back on everything, I was like taking stock of like my Ravelry projects. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess that holds true. I gave away a good amount of socks. And some smaller items, definitely like the larger garments I kept for myself, but yeah, thought that was interesting. So those are kind of the numbers I wanted to get into before I jump into like showing y'all the actual, like walking you through each project that I made. And then at the end, I have some superlative categories I want to go through, like the projects that I'm most proud of, the coziest, my favorite like yarn that I used, things like that. So, to start off, I don't have this item with me. I'm going in chronological order because I want to. And I think it'll be nice for me to kind of like talk you through what was going on that year or talk myself through what was going through my brain. I should have said before, but every project that I'm talking about has its own dedicated Ravelry page, and I'm pretty good at like noting like how much yarn I used or like the exact yarns I used. I like link it all through the different Ravelry fields, so definitely check out Ravelry. I should also mention I had a moment of weakness yesterday and decided to trim my bangs. And as you do, I trimmed them too short because I'm not a hairstylist or hairdresser. So yeah, I'm gonna be finicking a lot and like messing with my hair a lot. So I apologize in advance. At the start of 2024, I had finished the Montpellier Slipover by November Knits. And I really like that pattern, but I ended up frogging it, and I'm going to reuse the yarn for a different project that I've yet to decide on. But anyway, the Montpellier Slipover didn't work out for a few reasons, and I tried to modify it in little ways because, so first of all, the yarn I chose was not the right yarn for my skin. I chose Lion Brand Fisherman's Wool. At this point, I was still kind of like trying to be more thrifty with the yarn that I was using, and this was one of like the bigger garments that I was starting to make. So I used Fisherman's Wool, but it's like a really cozy like turtleneck slipover vest garment, and it just was not comfortable against my bare neck skin. So that didn't work out, and I tried like folding over, like pulling out the turtleneck and making it just like a fold over crew neck collar, but in general, like the fit of it overall was a little too, I wanted it a bit more oversized and the yarn just wasn't right. So I decided to repurpose the yarn into something else in the future, and I do plan on making this again, but definitely in like a cozier fabric. So maybe choosing like an alpaca blended yarn or an straight alpaca yarn I think would be really nice, or something with just like a softer fiber for my skin, and something with a little more drape too, because I want it to be kind of like squishy and cozy and not too tight, and to make it in a size 1 or 2 sizes larger, just because I like the look of that better for myself. So Montpellier Slipover, don't have that to show. The next item I have on my list are the first pair of socks that I like finished completely. And these were just a pair of vanilla socks. I have them right here. All my hand knit socks, I should say, I love wearing hand knit socks, like hand knit woolen socks. Probably my favorite knit garment to wear like year round if I can. My feet are just like so much less sweaty and cozy. They're cozier. They're definitely kept warmer even if the socks themselves are just like pretty basic thin vanilla socks. Wool is magic and I love wool. Anyway, these are my first pair of socks that I made in 2024 and my first pair of like completed socks. I was super stoked to have these finished and I loved everything about them. They are like a tad too large now that I've like worn them a bit and they've stretched out a little bit, and they need a good wash, but I love these socks. The yarn I used is Rayon yarn, in the color Cradle Earth. And this yarn also holds a special place in my heart because I got this on a trip to Atlanta for a friend's wedding, but I visited the yarn shop with one of my really good friends, Mary, who's always been super supportive of my knitty journey. So yeah, these just make me think of her, and they're just really cozy, and I love the color, and they're beautiful. Random side note, if you like this like sagey, slightly variegated tonally, like seafoamy, sagey green, I just found, I think, part superwash wool. I'll put it on the screen. I think it's Barocco Ultra Wool. But I found a color that like reminded me immediately of these socks, like this yarn. And I don't know that this yarn is available still anymore. So I just really like the color of this. Like it calms me. And I love my phone case and everything is this color. I like this color a lot. So if you're interested in finding a similarly colored yarn, I'll link that below. But yeah, my first pair, vanilla socks, was great. This is the Petite Knit Cloud Sweater, and contrary to the name, like cloud, you imagine something that's like super light and airy and fluffy, and that's how the like original cloud sweater pattern I think was intended to be made, like the final garment. That was the vision, but I was still kind of getting a handle on like proper yarn for project thinking. But it still worked out for this project, I would say. I've gotten a lot of wear out of this sweater. And I used, again, Lion Brand Fisherman's Wool in the color Oatmeal, but I held it together with another special yarn, the Retrosaria Pomar Mondim yarn in the color 209. Actually, one of the ladies at the yarn store, as I was buying it, she was like, "Oh my gosh, that looks like chocolate chip cookie dough." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right." But I love how it looks paired with like the straight like heathered oatmeal color yarn of the fisherman's wool yarn. I did do one mod to it more recently. I made it to pattern and then I went back and adjusted the neckline to have a little more ribbing and then a rolled stockinette edge. And yeah, in general, like this sweater has worn so beautifully. I've worn it a lot. I've worn it as like a sweatshirt. I've worn it undercoats. I've worn it inside and out. I've probably fallen asleep in this and it's worn beautifully. Like there's barely any pilling. It's just a workhorse sweater and I really love it, and I think I'm gonna have this like for the rest of my life. Hopefully I can fit into it for the rest of my life, but yeah. I did make it a bit cropped, which I like right now, but I can always go back and rip out the hem and add more length if I need to, but the sleeves are long enough, definitely long enough, and yeah, I just love this sweater so much, and I would love to make a cardigan with this same yarn combo. It's just such a hardy, beautiful, sturdy yarn that yields a really solid, like, structured fabric, so if that fits the bill for anything you're looking to make, definitely check out this yarn combo. Okay, the next 4 objects I finished. We're moving into like February, March. We're all gift knits. So the next item I made was the baby bear bonnet by the Knitting for Olive. Pernille Larson, I believe, is the designer behind Knitting for Olive, but yeah, I made the baby bear bonnet for a friend who I think at that point may not have had her baby yet, but that was really fun. That was probably like my first time making a more like complex in structure item, and where I really had to like trust the pattern and just like trust the process and like go with it. But yeah, I would definitely make the baby bear bonnet again. I just have other things I want to make for babies and little ones, so probably won't make it anytime soon. Again, super soon, but I definitely would make it again. There's nothing wrong with it. And then I made 2 more gift knits for that friend because she has an older daughter and then was having a second daughter. So I made them matching Little Lonely Leftovers vests from Wool and Beyond. And I made them in matching, like, just like, basically I made one and then I made another one in a smaller size. And yeah, mainly because like I loved matching with my sister, or I thought it was fun matching with my sisters when I was growing up. So yeah, I just wanted to make those for them. The pattern itself, I don't know that I would recommend to a like newer beginner knitter because Wool and Beyond's pattern writing style isn't really geared towards like beginner knitters in my opinion. So yeah, don't know that I also don't think I would make this again, only because, yeah, I didn't like super love the like the finished item, at least the ones I made they still felt like really kind of clunky and handmade, not in the way that I wanted to. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I think I would pass on the Little Lonely Leftovers vest. She has another vest, I think like that has like some sort of honeycomb, or like there's honeycomb in the name, which I'm probably more inclined to try in the future if I want to make another vest like this, like a tie vest. But honestly, I don't think I'm gonna make any one of these vests again. So just noted for that. The next gift knit that I don't have to share is the first pair of DK weight socks. And this is also the first pair of socks that I made using magic loop, and it was like my first like proper foray into the magic loop method, which totally changed everything for me. I had heard so many people kind of like crap on magic loop, and so I was really afraid of it. And I had tried like a couple times before, but like nothing really ever clicked in my brain for magic loop up until that point. But I was on a trip and I had only brought like a few set of needles, and I had already gone through like one of the projects, and I wanted to cast on these DK socks, and the only choice I had was to use magic loop. So I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna like try it, it's fine, like I'll try it and see what happens. And thankfully it stuck, and I'm so thankful. And yeah, I don't mind magic loop now. It's still not my like most preferred method of knitting small circumferences, but yeah, this project taught me magic loop, so I'm grateful. I also was just really pleased with the blueberry waffle socks that I made, mainly because I mean it was super quick. I think I finished like the entire pair of socks in like a solid weekend, which was like mind-blowing for me because my first pair of just like regular fingering weight vanilla socks took a bit longer. So that was nice. And then secondly, I came to realize like how nice it is to make socks that have either some sort of texture or repeating pattern in them, because it helps you count how many rows are in the sock, either on the foot or the leg of the sock. And so when you're making your second sock, you know exactly how many like rows or pattern repeats you did, and it's much easier to count and make them equal, or just like make them congruent in size, which I've had issues with just like plain vanilla socks doing that without any texture or any like repeating pattern color work or anything. So yeah, also the waffle texture is just really cute and really addicting to do. So lots of thumbs up for me for this Waffle Socks pattern. And I gave these to my mom, and she loved them and wears them to sleep like all the time. So got really good reviews from that. Also for the Blueberry Waffle Socks, really quick, that was the first time I also did a shadow wrap heel by Earth Tones Girl. Another free like pattern from her. The heel pattern is free. And so highly recommend that. That style heel doesn't give you as much depth in your sock if you have a high instep, but if your instep isn't that deep, like my instep isn't that crazy, I can get away with a shadow wrap heel, and it's so fast and really addictive, and you can pick it up and put it down. Unlike like a normal heel flapping gusset, which I feel like you kind of have to be more locked in mentally to like get it done and know where you are. So just noting that shadow wrap heel. Thank you. The Blueberry Waffle Socks were just a great project overall. I learned a lot, and it taught me a lot of methods and techniques that I have continued to take on in my sock making. The next item I made or finished was my first Cumulus Blouse, number 1 by... This is Petite Knit too, yeah. This was an exciting knit for me because I had never knit with just alpaca before, so the pattern I used was, or the yarn that I used is Knit Picks Alpaca Cloud Lace, which I held double in the color Anna. There's also a fingering weight version of this yarn too, by the way, which would probably yield the same result, like the same gauge of yarn, but yeah, I loved how this turned out. Some modifications or things that I was like super conscious to do was the I-cord edge for the V-neck. I made sure to like bind off super loose because I really wanted like, I didn't want a V-neck that was up here. I really wanted like a wide open V-neck for my Cumulus blouse. And so I like where this ended up. And I think that was the main like modification or something that I was like really keen on making sure was like pretty specific. Everything else about this was pretty straightforward. It's just like a nice raglan, like take on a raglan style blouse. I'm not dying to make it again, just because the gauge is so small, but I would make it again, and it's worn fairly well. There's a little bit of pilling, and I've noticed like in a few places the lace weight yarn has actually ripped. Like, I don't know if you can see this, like it already does need some repairs, so I don't know that I would like knit another garment that's this like maybe hard wearing. I definitely use this yarn again to make like an accessory, but maybe not for like a sweater, at least not in this weight. And that's in the like armpit too, so that could also be another reason why it's just in like a high friction area. So I'm noting this for the future, but I love the color. It's like a pretty dusty bluish, slightly heathered blue color, so really like that. The next item was another gift knit, and this was a pair of just plain vanilla socks, but this time for my dad. Also, a huge shout out to the Crazy Sock Lady sock tutorials because she taught me how to make my first vanilla sock. I should have mentioned that before. And she's great because she shows you like every different method of making vanilla socks, either like on either magic loop, 9-inch circulars, double pointed needles, or DPNs. She's got all those tutorials at your disposal for free, which I think is so generous and just really helpful. So yeah, made vanilla socks for my dad using Patton's Croy yarn in the color Cadet, which is a really nice like bluey gray gradient type yarn. It's on the thicker side of sock yarn, not quite sport weight, but definitely on the like heavy fingering side. And yeah, my dad really liked them when he first got them, but then my mom and dad like misplaced them, so they're lost somewhere at my parents' house. So hopefully they find them at some point, but yeah, I really liked the finished product of those, and I would definitely use that yarn again to make myself or like someone else a pair of socks. So liked Patton's Croy. 2 finished items are also gift knits that I don't have with me, but they're also both vanilla socks, and this is where I started kind of getting more into like Summer Lee Summerly's like sock inspiration. I took her socks, like mainly like her color choice and some of the like ways she was using color in her socks as like inspiration for some of my just like plain vanilla socks. So I made a pair of color blocked vanilla socks, which had like a different heel and toe and cuff color, which was really fun. And then the next pair were what I called my Sporty Stripes vanilla socks. And these ones I just played again with like the same colors as the previous pair, but I did some like kind of sporty stripes at the top of the leg of the sock, and then played with some color for like I think just the heel or the toe. But yeah, really enjoyed making those. And both of these pairs of socks, to kind of speak to like how vanilla socks are kind of hard to gauge the length of sometimes for me, at least starting out. The first pair, the color block socks, were a little too big, so I ended up giving those to my middle sister because she has slightly larger feet. And then the Sporty Stripes ended up being a little too small, so I gave those to my mom because her feet are slightly smaller. So it worked out. But then the next pair of socks fit me just right. I had a Goldilocks moment, and these are my Buttery flower socks, and this was another fun like color work project. And yeah, the inspiration from these came from a free chart on Pinterest that I got from my fellow knitter friend and podcaster Hanan Bonnet, who also made such epic socks this last year. If you don't follow her already, run, don't walk. She makes amazing projects. Her socks are unreal. I found a lot of inspiration from her socks as well, but she's the one who kind of forwarded me this chart. And yeah, I just decided to have fun with them. And yeah, I also did the shadow wrap heel on these, which you can see. But yeah, really pleased with how these turned out. This was also the first time that I realized, like, sometimes color work, depending on like how deep your floats are going or like how far your floats are going, like they may show through your main color. So I have not yet learned this technique, but this is when I found out about the jacquard, ladderback jacquard knitting technique that you can use to kind of get away from having your floats come through the front of your knits. So I've yet to learn that, but it is on the docket for the future to learn. But yeah, really liked how these turned out. And I wanted to just play with different color combos. So yeah, I think both of them are rightfully bright and delightful in their own ways. Love the high contrast regardless. And yeah, love these. Love those buttery flower socks. This next project is one that I have yet to wear out, but it was an exciting project because it was my first time knitting lace. It was my first cardigan. It was my first top-down or bottom-up cardigan construction or sweater construction, and it was also just like a really big project. So let me just show you what it was. This is my Sascha Cardigan. It's a little scrunched up and bunchy because it's been sitting folded up in my closet. But yes, this was my first cardigan. There is a really pretty lace pattern here. The yarn that I used for this project was also kind of had a long story, and I held two yarns together. So I held Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk with a reclaimed yarn that I reclaimed, like the main pink color is a reclaimed yarn that I got from a thrifted sweater that I got from a family member. And I made a reel about that, and that reel like went semi-viral, and it was really cool to see that happen. But I didn't use that yarn for anything for a while. So when I decided on this project, the initial vision was to make like a Cezanne-esque fuzzy, Cezanne-esque, like fuzzy pink, cozy Parisian kind of dressed up cardigan, which I think this definitely fits the bill for that. But I don't wear it because it's quite a statement, and I don't know if you can tell, but these bell sleeves are crazy. They're crazy, and I honestly think if this cardigan didn't have such dramatic bell sleeves, I'd probably wear it a lot more, or I'd wear it, period. The button band's a little like, it's not perfect either. So yeah, there are things that I would change about this if I could do it all over again. And it's not the easiest cardigan or sweater to go back and modify, mainly because, like, for the sleeves, for instance, these sleeves were mattress stitched, like seamed. So if I wanted to like redo these, I'd have to undo the mattress stitch and basically like redo all of the sleeves, and I just don't want to do that. Or I guess I could like do sweater sleeve surgery maybe and just like pick up stitches and knit. Maybe I'll do that, but honestly, it's not top of mind right now. But where this cardigan does hold a lot of fun memories is that I watched all of Breaking Bad while I knitted this. So that's its claim to fame. It's my Breaking Bad cardigan, my first cardigan. So, I mean, I'm still super proud of it. I don't think I'm going to get rid of it anytime soon. I do want to do something about the sleeves, and I do want to give it a good block because I think it will help the front of the cardigan also kind of like pull down and sit more nicely. Maybe the button band too. So yeah, TBD on this, but I mean, I think the color's not too light that it washes me out fully, and I would like to get this at least in a good place to wear by Valentine's Day. So I might pull this out for like a Fix It February moment. That's my Sascha cardigan. The next project I have were also gift knit. These are my bright heel toe socks, DK socks. I made these as a gift to give to a family member, and they were great. I made a lot of them on my flight over to visit this family member, and yeah, no complaints. Did another shadow wrap heel. I hand dyed the pink yarn specifically for this family member. Came out a bit more intense than I wanted, but it's okay. I don't think she really cared. So yeah, but had a lot of fun making these and would make them again. The next pair is another pair of socks. The next item is another pair of socks that were also gift knit. And these are my Jeju Island socks, which also used a different DIY hand-dyed yarn. And I brought this project with me when I traveled to Korea earlier last year. Made most of the socks in Jeju Island, and the colors of them also just like reminded me of like the ocean and the sky and the like beautiful greenery that Jeju has to offer. So Jeju Island socks, those went to my mom, and she loves those. And that was a nice like first try at like a fully ribbed sock too, I believe. So definitely liked those. 2 more gift knits. These are my 2 like mini sweaters that I made. I used a free sweater pattern called the Snadi sweater, but I ended up calling these like fidget sweaters because I gifted them to people under the guise of like, you could use it as like a fidget toy. And I used stock yarn for both of them. One of the sweaters that I gave to like a coworker who was leaving, she ended up sending me a photo of like the sweater like actually framed and like on her like on a gallery wall, which I was like so touched by. And I really like that idea in general. I think that would be like a fun way to like make use of some of either your swatches or like small knit items like that you don't necessarily like, you can't like wear all the time or like have on display in like an easy way. I think like framing it and putting it up would be really cool. So that kind of like got my creative gears turning for some like DIY home decor. The next item I do have here, this was my plain Yoke Tee number 1. or Plain Yoke Tee by Lenit, or I believe the designer is Lena Holme Samso? Lena Holme Samso? Lenit. And this is it. I made this with my local yarn shop. There was like, it was like a knitting class to knit this together over the course of like a few weeks, several weeks. And yeah, more than like, I mean, I do enjoy the finished item. I made it a little too cropped. Like once I washed this, it definitely like shrunk up a little bit more, but I love this for a multitude of reasons, including just like all the memories that I made with the ladies at my yarn shop as we were making this together, just meeting up with them and talking and experiencing the joy of knitting with other people and other women and people who I probably never would have like crossed paths with in life too. I used Sandnesgarn Lina in pearl gray, and I both machine washed and dried this, so it did shrink up a bit, but I know with some wear it'll stretch out again. I do like this color, and I do like the way the like yoke increases work. And I know that Linit has a version of this that's more of like a long sleeve sweater, which I do really like, and I would love to try that out with a similar yarn for like a more summery long sleeve sweater, like a spring sweater. So yeah, really enjoyed this. Has a really good drape, and that is the Plain Yoke Tee. All right. Moving into the next item, this was the Pressed Flowers bandana. I called it a bandana because I made it smaller, but it's the Pressed Flowers shawl by Amy Christophers. And I just love how this project turned out. I think in hindsight, I wish I had made this like slightly bigger, maybe done like just like 2 more repeats of the flowers. But overall it's fine. And I used linen quill, Pearl Soho linen quill for it, just like held single. And that's part of the reason why I think this went a little slower, because my gauge was like a little off. But overall, love this motif. Don't really love mosaic knitting, but love how the finished object turned out. Love the color. And did a little modification. Instead of doing the like full border pattern that comes with the actual pattern, I did an applied 2-color I-cord, which was actually nicer than doing a monotone I-cord, because well, at least when you have 2 colors of I-cord, you can kind of see your progress a little better. So yeah, I honestly just love looking at this and like love having it as decor, like hanging behind me on a shelf. But I have worn this a few times, and even though it has like linen quill, it's funny, it's like soft enough to wear, but you wouldn't, I don't know, it doesn't feel, maybe you just have to be, it has to be cold outside, but it feels really cozy when you have it on, when you need a little extra warmth, even though it does have some like linen in it. All right, Pressed Flowers bandana. My next item I have here are my matching Rowan vanilla socks. So these also hold some really good memories. I use the Rowan sock yarn. I think just the colors just called like blue or ocean. Love the gradient. These hold a lot of good memories because I made a new knitter friend, like in real life. And my friend Leah, hi Leah, and we went to a yarn store for one of the times we hung out and got sock yarn, the same sock yarn, but in different colors, and just decided to make some matching socks. So she finished hers before I did, but yeah, I started these with her and then ended them with her in my like presence, like in real life, which was really nice. And so yeah, these hold really good memories, and the sock yarn itself is really nice. It was like a single ply sock yarn, so it's worn nicely. It's definitely like felted a bit already in the toe and the heel, but it feels really nice on. Like it's not the stretchiest yarn, but I don't know how to explain it. It just kind of hugs your foot in a nice way. So those are my matching Rowan vanilla socks. The next socks I made were not for me, but I have them here because I made them for my husband Sam, and he is a University of Michigan fan, go blue. So I made him some Michigan themed Shortie socks. These I self-drafted. I added a little like sporty stripe. In hindsight, he actually designed these. He requested one stripe on them with like this color heel and toe. But I wish I had made the stripe a little bit thicker. He also agrees that it would have been good a little bit thicker too. But yeah, but overall, these were a hit. Definitely keep his feet warm. They have gotten a little bit of wear. But yeah, I was really pleased with these. I did a normal heel flap and gusset. And just did the heel flap and heel turn in the contrast color. And then once I started doing the gusset decreases, I switched back to the main like navy blue color. And then for the toe, I was kind of experimenting a little bit, but I did a few rounds just plain stockinette in the toe color before I actually started the toe decreases, just because I wanted there to be a more like crisp, like circular toe line once he was wearing them versus like sometimes when you have a contrast toe, just the like tip of your toes shows in the like contrast color area. I don't know if I'm like explaining that right, but I wanted more of like a proper toe, round toe look once he had them on. So those are my Michigan Shortie socks. The next item is a gift knit. It is the Kreuzberg Vest from the 52 Weeks of Easy Knits book by Lineup Publishing. I was able to buy the pattern separately on Ravelry, which was great. The yarn I used was Cascade 220. It was my first time using Cascade 220. Loved it. Just felt so squishy and soft. Blocked beautifully. The color itself was gorgeous. I think the color was Stratosphere. I made this for my sister for her birthday last year, and yeah, she loved it. I wish I had made it in one size larger for her, just so that it would be like have slightly more positive ease, but it's okay. If I make her another one, now I know what size to make. But yeah, really like that, and that was like a pretty quick project overall too. We have my first test knit experience. This was for the Tessikana Sweater, which I wore in my like holiday podcast episode. This project was so fun. This was my first like proper color work yoke project. I got to choose some really fun yarn colors. The pattern itself is not released yet, so I'm sorry about that, but the Paul Klee sweater is it Midori Hirose's pattern? The Paul Klee sweater kind of has a very similar like squarey, checkery effect. So I feel like if you like the look of this, go check out the Paul Klee sweater and just choose similar like yarn colors. But yeah, overall, I wore this quite a few times over the holidays, and it's another great, like, honestly, heirloom sweater that I think I'll have for the rest of my life and will continue to wear. Yeah, just love it. Most of these yarns are Peer Gynt from San Nisgarn, and when I was knitting with them, I wasn't sure how wearable it would be, but once I washed and blocked it properly, I love Peer Gynt. I get it. I know Florence, Handmade by Florence, loves Peer Gynt. I think I'm also on the Peer Gynt train. And I would love to make more sweaters with Peer Gynt. So, yeah, noted for the future. But that's my Tessikana. My next pair of socks that I've finished are my grid socks. These are self-drafted colorwork socks inspired by Summerlee's Colorwork Cuff Club. She had a grid pattern come out, but it was 3 colors. And at first I tried doing like a 3-color pattern as well, because I could like figure it out for the type of sock I wanted to make. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to mess with 2 colors and not have to worry about a 3rd color. And honestly, I love this like sock motif pattern. You'll see soon. I made another one. I made another pair of grid socks. I'll just show you now. These are basically the next knit that I finished. But yeah, I made a pair in pink and brown. And I believe these 2 pairs of socks are like my most worn pair of socks. They're like for like winter, like colder months, especially because of the color work. There's like a double layer, so they're a little warmer but not too hot. The grid pattern itself wears pretty nicely, and I like having them as like a little pop of like something fun. Like, you know, popping out from the under like the cuff of a pant, or yeah, like if you're wearing, I don't know, I wear a lot of clogs, so like peeking out from like my clogs, like my heel. I love that. This gives your outfits a little extra interest. So love these. I found the stitch counts are a little different from this sock to this sock. I ended up going down to 60 stitches for my size foot instead of a 64-inch circumference sock, just personally speaking. But I definitely want to make another pair of socks like these pink ones, but maybe even make the foot a little, or the leg of the sock a little bit longer and have that grid go up a little bit more. Because when I have these on, they're just like slightly above my ankle, but I would love them to go a little higher. Yeah, love these grid socks. Love them so much. All right, my next finished item was another test knit. This is me. This is me Amoretta Blouse. This is my Amoretta Blouse by 100 Acre Wool. This test knit I applied to on a whim, as you do. And yeah, I used linen quill for everything. It was my first time doing an applied like crochet finished edge, which I really like the finish of. I might add that to like a scarf or something in the future. So cute. And yeah, I just really like how this turned out. By the time I finished this, though, it was I finished this in August, so it was still a little too warm. Actually, definitely too warm to wear this. But now that it's like winter, I feel like I could wear this more. Definitely in the spring, when it's kind of that in-between weather, I will be able to wear this. But yeah, the Amoretta Blouse. That was my second to last test knit of the year. I did one more test knit for like a knitting friend. But after that, I think I'm pretty much done with test knits moving forward, mainly because I just want to knit what I want when I want to. I don't want to be on anyone else's timeline, and unless they're sponsoring the yarn, not really interested in test knitting anymore. For now. We'll see. We'll see if I do any test knits in 2025. All right. Okay. We're getting close to the end. Ish. Okay. My next finished item is another favorite. This is my red Frankenstein sweater. This was my first time really trying to like hack a larger garment by taking an existing pattern that I enjoyed making. So I made the Un sweater by November Knits in 2023. That was the first sweater I ever made. And I liked certain aspects of it, but I also wanted to just like try my hand at making that sweater into like a more like plain crew neck sweater, pullover sweater. And so I made this, and I love it. And I've worn it so much more than I thought I would, even though it's like a solid bright red sweater. Granted, red has been a very like trendy color, even though it's like a classic, but yeah, this like bright tomatoey red has been such a nice color to wear in the last year. It was perfect for the holidays. Y'all know I got a lot of wear out of it, like approaching Christmas time. It'll be perfect again for Lunar New Year. Like, I can't express how much I love this sweater. I did want to report back on like some of how it wore though. The yarn I used was Patton's classic wool worsted, just in the color bright red, and it did pill a bit with wear. You can still see some of it. I like tried to glean it a little bit and like comb some of the pills away. So it's definitely like a pilly yarn, but it's pretty soft and nice to wear. It does remind me of Cascade 220 a little bit, and it's super economical. I would use it again to make another sweater, but yeah, just wanted to note that on the wear. It definitely pills, but I'm gonna see how, I feel like sometimes people say like certain sweaters or certain yarns after it's first like shedding or pilling, it's not really an issue after that. So that I'm hopeful that's the case with this sweater. But yeah, love my red Frankenstein sweater. Love it so much. Will continue to wear it until it dies. This is my Puro Cardigan by Rui Yamamuro, using Noro Madara yarn and brushed alpaca silk from Drops. I love this thing so much. Yes, I just love this so much. It is the perfect oversized raglan cardigan pattern. It looks store-bought to me. I've had like multiple people whose style I admire ask me where I got this, which I take as the highest compliment because I'm like, ooh, I know you spend good money on good clothes. So the fact that you think I spent good money on buying this from somewhere makes me very happy. I mean, I did spend good money on the yarn to make this. So, but yeah, but yeah, I love this cardigan so much. The color variation, Noro Madara and Sake, it's an it girl yarn for good reason. Like, it's just gorgeous. All the little like colorful neps in it. I mean, come on. I may invest in this yarn again someday for something, but this kind of fills the Noro Madara Sake void in my heart, my knitter heart for now. But yeah, I love this thing. I have two qualms about it. One qualm is the brushed alpaca sheds like crazy. It shed like crazy initially. I feel like it's dying down a little bit maybe, but there's still some moments where I'm like wearing it, and like if I'm like at a restaurant or eating with other people, like I'll probably take it off because I don't want fuzzes going into the food or into anyone's mouth. And then my other qualm is that sometimes I do wish the raglan wasn't as deep, or that I hadn't made it as deep, because I want to be able to wear this out more and like under more jackets, but because the raglan itself is so wide and like deep and oversized, I kind of just have to wear this as like an outermost layer, or yeah, unless I invest in like a cape, which I don't think I'm going to anytime soon. So yeah, I just want to be able to wear this more, but I do wear it around a lot at home, or when it's kind of more mild, cold outside, and I can get away with just wearing like one thicker sweater piece like this. I do that. Also love my button choice for this. I got some like, I think they're either abalone or mother of pearl shells, just from Amazon. But I love this. I love this so much. The next item I do have here, and it is the last test knit I did of 2024, and this is my Bogue Bonnet. It's a little scrunched up because I was actually about to wash this, because I put it on my dog, and then I put it on my dog a while back, but soon after, around that time, I realized he had fleas, so this needs to go in the wash and be defleed. But this is a pattern by my knitter friend, Thomasine, or Virk Prinsessen. I think that's how you say her handle. Here on YouTube, she has a podcast, but also she's a new to Ravelry designer, I guess I would say. But yeah, this bonnet is a great kind of basic bonnet, super quick, super easy to knit up. I feel like it's really, you can like easily modify it to fit either like an adult head, or to kind of size down or mess with the gauge and make it smaller for little ones. But yeah, I love this. I just used some red sock yarn that I had on hand, and I love the like poppy red color. But yeah, definitely need to wash this since it's been on my dog's head. He's fine now. His fleas are gone, but yeah, better be safe than sorry. That is the Bogue Bonnet. The next thing I have is another pair of socks. These were my Maize Socks that I made, again, in honor of being able to wear more Michigan gear. These are just yellow socks, vanilla socks with a slightly contrasty cuff in like a buttery yellow color. And this is all yarn that I had in stash already. And for these ones, I did do a heel flap, heel turn and gusset. Heel flap and gusset. Just followed the Crazy Sock Lady YouTube tutorial again. And yeah, just a good basic pair of socks. Next, I have another exciting item to me because these are my first project I did with my first handspun yarn. So these are my handspun socks. I ended up just doing a 2x2 rib, carrying it along the top of the foot. Yeah, these are more of like a symbol to me. And something that I want to take into 2025 is spinning more and making more stuff with yarn that I made. But yeah, just really proud of everything, like how these came to be. I got the fiber. This is a Corriedale combed top from Walnut Farm Designs on Etsy. She has a lot of beautiful fiber, and I have a lot of fiber in stash that I need to get through. I've just gotten over the last year, so want to make more socks and accessories, and eventually spin a sweater's quantity of yarn and make a sweater for myself or for someone. But yeah, yay! Excited for that. Next, we have another Frankenstein sweater. This was my gray version that I made with a different yarn. This was made with Cascade Cantata, which is a blown cotton chain yarn that's blown in with superwash wool. It's the color of it is kind of funky, and I think it's one of the reasons why I'm like not 1000% in love with it. It's like gray, but also kind of purpley. And I don't know, I'm not a big purple wearer, but on it looks fine. And I've worn this a lot as like a kind of a sweatshirt around the house. I've worn it out of the house too. And it is a nice yarn for the places where you're not like super keen on wearing like woolly wools all the time because it's not cold enough. This is a good alternative, I would say. And what else can I say about this? I have yet to machine wash this, but I do want to try because everything is like superwash or cotton, and then just like air dry it. So I will report back too in a future video, but I think this would be fine. And it's worn pretty well. I was kind of worried about how the fiber, like the blown fiber would hold up. It's kind of pilling, but you have to get kind of close to see it. And yeah, overall, it's definitely like a heavier yarn because of that cotton, but it's nice. It has a good like drape to it. So that was the final big garment that I made of the year. Yeah, I think pretty much everything else was a gift knit. So I'll just run through them quickly. I made a pair of vanilla socks again, this time to give to my mom. I made an EASYPEASY Bandana by Paula Strict or Suzanne Mueller on Ravelry. Lovely. Key thing about that was the yarn that I used was Chef's Kiss, Knit Picks, Capra DK, and Eclipse Heather. Gorgeous. I have more of it right here actually in a red color. And I plan to make either the same thing with this yarn or make another scarf pattern that I have saved. But honestly, I might just make the same thing over again and either give it to someone or keep it for myself. But it's gorgeous. Love that yarn. Washed up so nicely. And whenever Knit Picks has a sale on it, grab it because it's a cashmere merino blend and it's lovely. I love it a lot. I think it would be better for smaller accessories or things that aren't getting a lot of friction. So maybe not for like a sweater or anything, but hat, scarf, maybe not mittens, but like hat, scarf, go for it. Headband, go for it. The next item was a ribbed hat that I made to give as a gift. Used a lot of stash yarn for that. Was like pretty pleased with it. And then I made a Crocus Headband, which is a free pattern by Marilla Moments. Would definitely knit it again if I knew someone who wanted like that style. It's not necessarily my style, but was really fun to knit up. And again, kind of like made me fall in love with lace a little bit more. So love that. Then I made the Pioneer Gloves by Boho Knits. Free pattern again. Great fingerless mitt. Glove pattern, and love the yarn. Goodwool by Pearl Soho. Would definitely knit with that again. Do want to knit with it again for like a larger garment as well. It would say it's like a solid, heavy fingering, maybe sport, maybe. The next item was the Oslo Hat by Petite Knit. This was something I gave to my youngest sister. I used Barocco, Vintage DK, and Rhubarb. Great yarn. Would definitely knit with that yarn again, specifically for like baby knits or knits for like people who want to be able to machine wash their yarn. I did machine wash that yarn and it held up beautifully. I may have machine dried it too, actually. So all around great yarn. And then my final item that I made that I finished on the 28th of December were what I call my Lisa Frank socks. And I haven't showed these on a podcast or anything yet, but these are more of like a worsted weight pair of socks that I also made for my youngest sister. And I call them my Lisa Frank socks because the colors of the yarn just reminded me a lot of Lisa Frank. I hand dyed those again, like another DIY on my birthday last year. So those hold some fun memories. Just like watching the yarn knit up was really satisfying and fun. And randomly I saw there's like gonna be a Lisa Frank documentary on Amazon if it's not already out. But yeah, apparently there was some like shady things happening with Lisa Frank. So that's interesting. But Lisa Frank socks. And that's it. That's everything I knit in 2024. Everything I finished in 2024. I've knit some other things that I haven't finished or that are like hibernating now, but I won't get into those too much, but hopefully I finish them in 2025. All right, y'all. Now it's time for superlatives. I'm going to take you through these one at a time. My 100% will make this again project. I've already mentioned grid socks. Would be a great stash buster for any sock yarn you have kind of laying around, depending on like what colors you want to use. Will 1000% make more of these. And maybe make them as gifts too, but I'm going to make myself a few more pairs of these. So that is my 100% will make again project. My next category is the project that I'm most proud of. And I'm going to have to give it to my Puro Cardigan. I freaking love this thing. I'm so proud of it for so many reasons. Mainly that I like used the yarn that I really wanted to use for it. And also it was my first time like properly doing a double knit button band with per Florence Miller's YouTube tutorial. Thank you, Florence. I loved your tutorial. Her buttonhole method is really great too. But yeah, I feel like that was another kind of like technique I wanted to get the better like hang of last year. So yeah, just really proud of like the finished result and how it all came out and how much I wear it. This is just I love it. It's my favorite. Most worn? Honestly, I think my most worn item, if we're not counting like socks here and there, is my cloud sweater. Like, once the woolly weather hit, I wear this so much because it doesn't pill. It's warm. It looks great with a pair of jeans, which is most of the time what I'm wearing anyway. Yeah, I think this is my most worn sweater, at least like from like my impression, from my own memory. I think I would also make this again, but yeah. Cloud sweater. I think a lot of it has to do with the yarn combo too. I just love the way these yarns look held together. Favorite technique learned, definitely for its utility, was magic loop this year. I learned a lot of techniques, so I could probably say more, but magic loop was probably my favorite technique learned this year. Took me through a lot of a lot of socks, got me through a lot of like weird sleeves that I needed to make, necklines, yeah, all the small circumference things that I didn't have like a smaller circular for. Thank you, Magic Loop. I appreciate you, and my hands appreciate you. Wrapping it up, favorite yarn? Dare I say? Okay, well, Noro Madara, that kind of goes without saying, honestly, for me. But I would say new favorite yarn that I discovered for myself, that I was like pleasantly surprised by, Peer Gynt. Yeah, I'm going to say Peer Gynt. Just in like how lovely it feels to wear and how well it holds up too. Like, this entire sweater has not pilled at all. Granted, I haven't worn it a ton, but even if I did wear it a lot more, I could see it just holding up really beautifully. So, yeah, I would say Peer Gynt is my favorite yarn. Or, no, Peer Gynt. I'm going to put on my most favorite knit to round this out. All right, I got my most proud of, the knit that I'm most proud of on to round this video. Thank you so much if you stayed with me this whole time. It's been a beautiful year of making. I am so thankful for everyone here who's shown up. Even just like as I started to podcast too. I started this channel mainly to be able to like have a deeper community and a wider community with fellow knitters that are online. And also meet more knitters in person and be able to have like people, maybe other knitter podcasters, have like a baseline for getting to know me as well and be able to like make more connections across the screen. But yeah, in general, I love what knitting has brought for me just in terms of community, but also like how much I've been able to learn and like grow my brain and like wrapping my head around knitting techniques and learning how to fix mistakes and modifying patterns. And yeah, it's just such a cool, deep world of so much learning and deep diving to do, or options to deep dive. And so yeah, I love it. I'm gonna make like a whole separate video kind of walking y'all through what I hope to accomplish or what I hope to do in 2025 regarding fiber arts. But thank you so much for being here. Please let me know what you're most proud of that you've like knit or done in the last year. Even if it's not like a knitting item, like I hope you had a really great 2024 of just creativity and being able to express yourself in some form of media. But yeah, thanks for joining. Here's to another year, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.